Hi, I'm Frank and welcome to my podcast, The Ride of a Lifetime. On this podcast, I share my personal journey through the ups and downs of building successful businesses. Each episode, I dive into the different aspects of my life, from overcoming business challenges, starting a family, and designing my own cutting-edge carbon fiber e-bike. I hope this podcast can inspire and motivate listeners to take the leap and chase their dreams. Get ready for an exciting journey through the cycles of success with me and some of my friends I have made along the way. On this episode of The Ride of a Lifetime, we're diving into the world of the hybrid e-bikes and reliving the journey so far. We start right at the beginning of the hybrid mission, and I share some behind-the-scenes information about the journey so far and how we got to that point where we are now. There's a lot to be learned in this episode, so enjoy! As I recovered from cancer and I needed something else to do, and I looked for an e-bike, and I couldn't really find the e-bike I was looking for, so I thought might as well do it myself. Do a carbon fiber e-bike perhaps. And that's what I ended up doing. But it was very, very challenging because I'm not a cyclist. I'm more of an entrepreneur. So I had to learn a hell of a lot, and I had to ask a lot of people for advice. And what excited me really on that hybrid story was that I could take it places. This business I wanted to do could have been the most exciting one of all of them, because I've been reading a lot of books and followed a lot of successful people. So Richard Branson was one of them, what he done, and I kind of always hoped one day I would have the opportunity to sort of build something which could go beyond New Zealand. And I had that feeling this hybrid bikes business could be the business I could do it with. And then following people like Nick Morbury from Zuru, what he established, it's just amazing. And I thought that hybrid bikes story could be that. But what I had to do a lot of research. So basically what I started off with going around bike shops and asking them for advice. So I had my little tick list of all the things which I thought I need to accomplish in an e-bike to make it successful. And I was lucky that I had people who really openly said, okay, if I would do an e-bike, it would be important to me, those and those and those points. And then I've written it all in my little list, which actually be seen on 7 Sharp when I holding it up. But this was the most important puzzle piece to hybrid bikes, because that's how it started, with the knowledge on the piece of paper what I needed to do. And then when I had this piece of paper in my hand, then I sat on my computer and I thought, okay, now let's get started. What do I need to do? And I started drawing. So I drawn by hand certain things and measure them up, and had to really make sure that I don't bugger it up, because when you do carbon fiber, you got molds, and if they're wrong, it's really costly. And this is the hybrid bikes was the highest gamble I ever done with any other businesses I had, because I went full in, like just about everything I had went into it, and I couldn't get it wrong. So it was a big gamble for me to do hybrid bikes, but the rewards would be amazing if I can pull it off. So that was really the driver of going for it and thinking, well, let's do it. Screw it, let's do it. And that's what Branson said, and I thought, wow, let's do it. And that's what I did. I started drawing a frame up and then gave it to my Chinese partners, who then done the frames for me, and then we modeled everything. So it was a really exciting story to actually get to know all the steps I needed to do to really make this one a successful business. And along the way, we did the F18 frame as well, with just a step-through one, because you can't just have a high bar one, because we got a lot of people, a lot of couples, and they buy the high bar and then the lady wants the step through. So I had to design another one. But again, same story, seen bike shops and took their advice, and then at that stage I already met Jim Matthews as well. So we've been in the talks about this, because when at the beginning I only had one frame, and then the F18 frame developed a little later on. But this was really exciting. And then we done the same thing again. We modeled everything, 3D printed things. So it's a really exciting journey to design something from absolutely nothing. And then we got to a stage where we actually made our molds. So this was really exciting, because I'd never seen how carbon frames really get made. I only had that idea. So you got your molds, which then create the frame. So the steel molds are there to put your carbon in, and then when it's all nicely layered into the mold, you put it in the oven, and then you bake the frame. But it takes a lot of parts. It's this frame, the first two, had 250 pieces of carbon fiber to create one frame. So it's a hell of a lot of puzzle pieces to actually make a really strong frame. But yeah, we did it, and and the good thing as well, I was able to watch everything we did. So I've been there a lot, and I took photographs, because for me it was important to understand how my product is made. What needs to be done to make this an outstanding frame. And being on site as much as I could, I understood it. I learned it, And then you push it in the oven and you leave it in there for a few hours. And then when it comes out, you got this beautiful frame. You remove it out of the mold, and then you got that beautiful frame. And what you can see now, it's the very first frame which came out of the molds, nicely painted up. So it was a really cool journey to see that all happening. And then all my drawings, everything I'd done, all the input of selecting the componentry I wanted on it, we fitted it all, and it was really amazing. Then seeing the first frame in real life and test riding it, it just was incredible. It was such a great feeling of realizing all the hard work I put in from an idea to then see it in reality. All the obstacles, all the worries, all the thinking, God, will it work or not? What will people say? It was all forgotten when we had the first frame there, and we could actually had a finished product, had a bike, and we could test ride it. But then, of course, it was nice to meet all the partners around it. Like, for example, Bafeng. They a very, very large e-bike motor manufacturer, and they're very approachable, which I liked. I like to work with people. I like to see them. I like to meet them. I like to shake their hand. I like to see what they're doing. And Bafeng opened the doors for me. They allowed me to actually see how those motors are made. And then the engineers came along. Their little management team came. It just was incredible. It was so welcoming that I thought, that's the team. That's the people I want to work with. That's what I want to do going forward. And then from then we went to the battery factory, which was, again, something I didn't know a lot about it, how important it is to have the safety right on the battery. Like our batteries are in a cage, so the cells are impossible for the cells to actually touch each other. So that really minimizes the risk of having a failure, having a fire. So again, batteries and safety is really, really important. And when the first lot of bikes were built, of course, it was the exciting moment to actually see them finally in Nelson. So see the boat coming into Nelson in those days, it was incredible. It was such a rewarding place. And then we unloaded them, we put them in the garage. It was like, God, that journey really turns into reality. We're really creating something outstanding, and we're really creating something which New Zealand hasn't got, which is a carbon fiber bike like that. And that was that really that rewarding part of creating something which we have no competition in New Zealand. And that's what I really, really liked. And then, of course, when I started, I went to a marketing company and we put a logo on. So I became aware of that the logo we used at the beginning wasn't really a goer. So we quickly after that, we rebranded everything and started with a fresh look. We got our company car sign written in a really, really cool way, because it draws the eye to it. It draws attention to it. And I think that was also important for me from a marketing point, that people know who we are and what we're doing. And that car certainly reflected that it was like, wow, look at this car. What is he doing? What is he doing? So it was really, really great to have a stunning design on that bike, on that car. And then, of course, we unloaded the bikes and then we went to Jim Matthews' shed. So Jim, who had his bike shop for 29 years, he had a fully set up workshop. And that was ideal for us. We could just go there and we just played around with different ideas. We assembled them in Jim's shed. So this was fantastic. And when we done the first bikes, of course, we didn't have a lot of money left. So we had to do the very first marketing video we done ourselves with Jim in the backyard. And it was fantastic. We really worked on a very small budget, but being very ambitious to get the maximum out of what we did. And as we grow a little bit further, we sort of outgrown Jim's workshop, and then we shifted into my garage. And yeah, at the beginning, when I look back, it was like bare concrete floor. There was very little to it, but that's how we started. We started with whatever we had, and I think it just had to do. It had to sort of get us off the ground, and it had to get us going. And it's quite amazing, because at the beginning, we even had people from Holland who heard about us, what we're doing, and they came and inspected the bike and thought, well, that could be an interesting bike for the Netherlands. But again, it didn't go much further because they didn't have the money to actually purchase bikes. But we still had that ambition. We turned that into something really, really big and good. So we did whatever we could to actually get the bikes out. We had a little competition where people sort of told us about how we heard of us, and then we gave them a hybrid for the weekend to ride around just to test it. And then the aim was to give us a little review and tell us how it felt. So we used this then to start our little marketing campaign we did. And of course, brand awareness is important. So we heard of search and rescue. And those guys do an amazing job. Sometimes they put their own life on the line to rescue others. And in conversation with them, I heard that sometimes it's very difficult for them when they can't get to certain locations that they need to walk to them. And I thought, wow, it's amazing. Imagine they would have a hybrid e-bike on their hands, which they could use to actually go and rescue one person, just one person. It would be amazing. So that's what I did. On Christmas, I donated a hybrid e-bike to Search and Rescue. And they're still using it now. And I know there were cases where they could save people or got people out of difficult situations. So that was really rewarding to see the hybrid done a good job, really. But then our moment, which really transformed hybrid bikes really to the next level, is when Michael Holland from 7 Sharp came along. And this was magic, because the power of TV for a business is incredible when the nation can see what somebody is doing in his garage, taking on the big boys with his carbon fiber e-bike. It was incredible. It was unbelievable. And I think that really kick-started the brand awareness of that guy called, so to say, Little Frank in the 7 Sharp interview, to sort of accelerate us to another level. And we even got we went to e-bike trade shows and everything. And even once Hyundai rang and said, hey, can we use your bike to put on the back of our car to promote our electric car? and to be sort of considered from such a global brand to actually have our e-bike on the back of it was magic, So we really got known around the place. We got invited to speak on BNI events, sort of tell our story, how we started and how ambitious we were. So it was amazing. And as we grow, we had slowly a little bit of budget to actually do finally some nice photo shoots, some proper ones which looked quite stylish. So we put all the money we had back into our business. And then we thought, well, we should really work on the business profile as well. So we went to ACOS and we got carbon positive certified, which was again a good time for us to reflect of how is the business performing, what is our carbon footprint, are we doing okay? And ACOS just helped us along, and then we did what we needed to do to become a carbon positive business, which we were the only e-bike carbon positive business in New Zealand. So again, it was something no other business did or wanted to do. But we weren't finished yet. We thought, okay, how about if we would be part of the New Zealand story? Are we doing enough to be considered to be part of the New Zealand story, to have our New Zealand fern on our bikes, be certified as a New Zealand story company? And we did. We got the certificate, and we got it ever since. It was great to have really to have the silver fern on our bike. Means a lot to us, because it just reflects how proud we are to actually doing it in New Zealand. And as we gathered all those cool little things, Kiora magazine rang and said, "Hey, Frank, we heard about your story. Would you like to be in our magazine?" And wow, that was again a magazine which everybody traveling on a New Zealand plane could sort of grab the magazine and read about us. And again, this was amazing because we had so many phone calls and visitors coming and really checking out, what's that Frank doing in the garage? So it was great. So I can highly recommend the Kira magazine. And then we got our bikes into Consumer. And at the time, Consumer rated it as the second highest reviewed e-bike in New Zealand at the time. And that was like for a new brand being at the same level as Specialized was, wow, we really created something really special. And as more as we grow and as more little notches in our belt we had, as more proud I felt and as more driven I was to take it even further and further. And the innovation of our frames really is how versatile they are. How many different things we could do out of one frame, from race bikes, from gravel bikes. Like the business model was have two frames, but be able to turn them into different bikes rather than just having two. So from an inventory point, it meant we never have a bike which can't really move or which nobody wants, because we are able to turn that bike into quite different models. So this was really a winning strategy right from the start to be able to offer something really, really cool. And of course, that our bikes are lighter, which we've proven a few times by just lifting it up and showing the people, look, can you do that with your e-bike? And a lot of people actually couldn't. So, when we say we do things, we actually do it and we prove it. So as the business grew in our relationship with our suppliers, we traveled a bit more, like being invited to Bafang, to their factory in Poland, which again, for us, for our Euro plans we had in the back of our mind, it was really important that we could purchase our products in Europe, which we needed to be like built in Europe. So we had to sort of do a hell of a lot of work in Europe, and getting the motors built in Europe qualified us for actually saying made in Europe, which was fantastic. So we got invited to the opening, and we met a lot of other people who are Bafang customers. So it was great. And from then we went back to China and actually seen for the first time, our new assembly factory. That's where everything gets consolidated, and that where a base model gets built. And it's incredible. It's a really modern factory where our bikes get built. And seeing it all, being part of all this, it's a proud moment inside, from an idea of a piece of paper to actually creating something which is now mainstream, which is like thousands of bikes getting sold. It is proud. It's a proud moment. And of course, as we grow as well, so we had to look a bit more professional. So we made the garage look more like a showroom dash workshop. So we put a lot of effort in of making it a really presentable showroom, which has some posters on the side which shows our history, things we done, some key milestones we achieved in our business, and people could follow. I remember this and being there, and it's really inviting for people to come and see some of our key milestones. And at the beginning, I always said to Jim, it would be nice to say thank you to those customers which believed in us, believed in our story, believed in our product. So in 2021, we did our first e-bike ride, and this was just amazing to really invite all the locals. We invited actually everybody, but the locals came, and we had 85 hybrid e-bikes coming along for a ride from Richmond to Rabbit Island, picnic, and then coming back. And it was great, and it was really nice to sort of say thank you very much to all those people who believed in our brand and really backed us, and they became little ambassadors, and for a brand like ours, it felt really good. It felt really, really good, seeing all those hybrid e-bikes riding along. It was fantastic. And then sales picked up, and it got frantic. I think COVID probably was a big part of helped our growth. We had times where 40-foot containers were completely pre-sold before they even arrived. So it was pretty frantic. Bikes, we stored bikes in the garage up to the ceiling. We had them even in my house. We had them. It was amazing how many bikes we sold. But we loved it. We loved everything. We loved every minute of it. To create that New Zealand brand, that innovative New Zealand carbon fiber e-bike brand. It was great. And then we attracted also the attention of some promise, some celebrities, like Monty Beetham came along and looked what we did and had a test ride, and it was really nice that we got recognized from quite some, so to say, VIPs. It was really, really good. And when we got together with Pick again, and he said I would be interested in a hybrid e-bike, we actually had the opportunity to customize a bike just for Pick. So it was so cool to actually make a bike just for one person, including his logos and putting like his star on it, and just make it for him. And he really loved it, and he rides it still. He is still so proud of having it, that it was great. And it was good for marketing, because we pushed our marketing wherever we could. Like, we always thought, it would be nice if we go to the movies. Like when we were in the early days, we went to the movies, and we always seen advertising from different brands, all sort of things. And I thought, wouldn't it be nice to have hybrid there one day? And one day we did it. We just being on the big screen in the movies. It just looked so great to sort of, for Nelsonians to go to the movies and then seeing the hybrid bikes picture there. It's just whatever we could do to build a brand. And when we reached a lot of milestones, we thought, let's enter a business award. We done so much hard work. Maybe we get recognized for all the hard work we did. And so we entered the David Award, which was the first award we ever entered into. And we entered into most established business, and we thought, let's see if we get something, and we actually won it. We were on the couch and we were like, yay! We couldn't believe we actually won the award for the most established business, and then at the end we actually won the Supreme Award as well, which was like, wow, really people seeing all the work we put in to create something from a piece of paper. So that really got a lot of media attention, and I must say a lot of positive media attention, because we got interviewed from all sort of people. We've been in the AA magazine as a story of the guy in the garage. We've been, as part of the New Zealand story, we had interviews there as well with David Downs. He's the top man. He's a really, really good guy. And talking to him about our story and where we want to go and where we would like to fly the Fern with our product was amazing. So we really enjoyed that conversation. And then being part of the Innovation Nation in 2022. Again, we got recognized for our entrepreneurial spirit we had, and that just felt fantastic. And then we thought, might as well see if we can enter in the Sustainable Business Network, but we only came to the final. We didn't win this one. But I guess the winners were so big that we were only a small company. So we contributed, but we weren't big enough to win that award. But hey, you can't win them all, but you have to enter. You have to be, in it to win it. And of course, we grow and we became really a brand, a recognizable brand. And then we had customers from the UK, which live in New Zealand 6 months, and then you go to the UK 6 months, and they bought bikes and they liked them so much that we started a conversation of, hey, why don't you sell them in the UK? And we said, well, we would, but we need the right people for that. And they said, well, we can do it. We can be your partners in the UK. And we done that. We started a relationship with them, and we sort of planning to build that all out. So that was a really good stepping stone in the right direction of things to sort of keep growing. And when we had that phone call of, oh, Frank, you really achieved so many things that Michael Holland wants to come back and do a follow-up story on hybrid bikes. And this was like, wow, really? Yes, yeah, he thinks you guys done so well. He wants to come back and do a follow-up story. And it was like, wow, another 7 Sharp story. Again on national TV. How wonderful. Great. But I think we've been the only company ever who had a story filmed for 7 Sharp, for TV1 7 Sharp, and they couldn't use any of the footage. So it was corrupt. Something went wrong. So none of the footage which was filmed could be used. So actually we spent 8 hours filming, but it never went on TV, which was like, we were gutted that it happened. But, stuff happens. We spent another nice day with Michael, which is a fantastic guy. What you see on TV is how he really is. He's an absolute legend. And it was good to see him again, but unfortunately, we never made it on TV1 again, which maybe one day we get another chance, but hey, so be it. But we still stayed in the media, and we still made sure that people know who we are. Like when we had TV1 and coming back TV News with Jessica and Jessica Roden, and she came and she filmed us for another story. So really, the building the brand, we were really strong. But what we discovered is that our bike, we needed an update. We needed something, because the market developed, and we still had our 2018 model, and it was like going 2020, 21. Yeah, 21. So we had to move forward. So because we done frames and all that development of the bikes already before, we thought, let's start again. Let's take all the notes we had from customers who said, well, if you had this, that would be good on this and this. So we always kept those notes. So we started again and remodeled our current frame by tweaking the frame, by putting a bigger battery in. It's just those things to really have something updated. And it was great because me and Jim sat in the garage with a tape measure. We took all the measurements from our current one, looked at the drawings, made the new drawings up, and then started fresh again with the 3D modeling, just like we done in the first lot. But this time we actually were even more involved in the whole thing, where we sort of did a lot more 3D modeling. At the beginning, we had a couple of models when we did our first frames, but now we really learned so much and how important it is to get it right that we really got into the 3D modeling and printing of things like we got several frames 3D printed just to make sure that everything lines up on it, everything fits perfectly, and that we could actually ride along on one. So this was really important too, because if you get it wrong, the first time we were lucky, the second time we didn't want to rely on luck. We wanted to be sure that this frame is perfect. So we then done a few 3D prints of the frames and had the battery cases 3D printed and really made sure that everything will work. And we designed everything we learned about our battery case. Again, if you start, and then you look back, you think, oh gosh, I could have done that better and I could have done that better. So everything we learned with our battery as well, we implemented in the next battery we got now. So we made it stronger, we made it better waterproof, we made all the things, all the weaknesses we had, we implemented in the new product, and that was fantastic. And when we could tick all that off, we got the steel molds done, and then we got our first frames done. And that was really, really exciting, actually seeing our first frames coming out. And the thing is as well, if you make your first steel mold, you die for your frames, you actually, you can remachine them a little bit, so you can perfect them after the first frame. That was important for us to actually see our first frames and then see, is this tight enough, or is this? So you have a bit of play in your first dies, but what you do, we basically go from the first couple of frames, and then you retweak that to make it actually a mass production frame, so that you can really roll them out. And that's what we did. We done the first frames, we checked everything, and then pushed a button and rolled them out. And those frames now, we had much more professional dies now. We could adjust, we could tweak that. We have little blocks with it to actually put the frame in the nice. So it was really, really great to see how the technology moved on from our first dies we made to the ones we got now. Even the way we actually do our frames, we got now it's 262 pieces of carbon, and we put them in a bag and we give them to the staff, and they can just lay them out. So it's really all the things we learned from our first two frames we included in our new batch of frames, but we made it better. We made everything better, and that is great to see. And then again, visiting the people actually who, when the frames come out, is a lot of steps, like from starting a frame to getting a finished polished product ready for painting. It's 40 steps, so it's a lot of work, and it all has to be done by hand. That's the difference between carbon and an alloy frame where robots welded, done deal kind of. Carbon, very time consuming, but when you see the finished frame, you think, oh, it's worth it. It was really worth doing it all because it looks fantastic. And that's what we did. We just watched everything. Every step of getting our frames made was important. And when you got them all, you have to make sure they're strong enough too, because up to then we couldn't really strength test it. We had our formula. We knew what carbon, how much of the carbon we would need to get that certain strength, but we never be able to test it until really our first frame is all made. So in our first set of frames, we had much simpler ways of doing the strength testing, where this time we had proper equipment, like really lifting it up to another level. We shaked it, we stretched it, we put down pressure on our frame, and we stopped it at 299 kg. A pressure point of 299 kg on our carbon frame. It's incredible. Like an alloy frame would have gone poof, would have just broke. But our frames, they weren't even broken at 299. We just stopped. We thought, well, that is heaps, that is absolutely strong as. And then we sort of done all we stretched, we done everything we need to do to feel good about our frames, and it passed everything. So it was good to really spend the time at the beginning of selecting what carbon, how much carbon, how thick we make it to get that to have pass with flying colors, so to say. And then, of course, we rebranded again. So the frame, they all got a new look, and so we made sure that we get that all right as well, because graphics. Good, if you get the graphics wrong, you can adjust this one. It's not like having a faulty mold or something, but it was still important to get it right first time, and we did. We worked with a good company in Nelson, and we achieved that high level of standard. And then seeing the first frames coming out of the paint shop, again, like the very first frames in 2018, it was the same kind of proud moment to hold up the next innovation we did, having new frames with bigger batteries, stronger. The geometry was slightly tweaked to make it even better performing. It was even more balanced than the first one was. So we got it bang on right in doing it all. Then all the rebranding on the boxes, so they looked a lot more inviting. It was like the message is a lifestyle changing investment. That's what it is. If you ride a hybrid bike, you actually change your lifestyle to the better, because it's just such a good bike. It just really makes a difference. And then we done our new photo shoot. Again, we had to do everything we done in 2018 just better, just much better. So we done a professional photo shooting again, and had great images to really start the marketing again with a new website we done. And of course, like we always do, we work close with local companies and sometimes we create marketing things together. Like with Pick, we went back to Pick, and we thought, because he just written a new book, very exciting. If you haven't read it, you should get it. It's great. We thought, well, let's have people around New Zealand have a taste of what Pix's peanut butter really like, and give him a chance to read Pix's book, because he given so much to us that we wanted to give back to Pick and promote Pick for a little while. So what we did is that for a certain time frame, which I think it was 2 months or what it was, everybody who bought a hybrid e-bike actually got a gift bag given to them which had peanut butter in it of all sort of different variations, and then Pick's book. And to promote this, we done a little video with Pick. So it was really great to actually do more things with a guy like Pick, who's a really great entrepreneur, and he likes to go, he's really outgoing as well. So it really suited us, suited me. So we kept doing things together. That was just another thing we did. But what we also did, because it went so well, we thought, let's team up with another great company, Proper Crisps, and promote that brand, because we like those crisps. And we thought, I'm sure a lot of other riders would like that as well. So what we did, we got sample bags, and when test riders come into the garage and we have a little chat, we just give them a bag of crisps, and that got the conversation going, and it was just another way to cross promote each other. So I think in a community like Nelson, working together and supporting each other certainly is a really good thing, because a lot of people helped us, and it's always nice to give back. It's always nice to look after people who helped you along the way, that you look after them if you can as well. And that is really high on our priority list to actually do that. And then we got contacted, we got in touch with Kia, which is sort of Kiwis working globally. So in Kia established relationships for us. So like-minded people like us, they got us together with them, and then we had a chat of how can we get e-bikes in different countries. And because those guys are already in different countries, they gave us feedback. So Kia is certainly a very good place for entrepreneurs who want to go out of New Zealand and get contacts. So Kia is certainly the place where we made good contacts. But of course, we never stop promoting, and sometimes we promote things which are funny. Sometimes we promote things because they have a certain style. They look cool, They might not be as the green EV look, but sometimes you just have to look beyond that and think, oh, that looks really cool, and that goes really well with our bikes. And that's why we had photo shoots with a Lamborghini or a Ferrari, because it's top brands, and we thought that should go really well with our top hybrid e-bike brand. So we were fortunate that the owners of those vehicles allowed us to take some really nice footage just from a promotional point. And yes, so we never stopped growing. We kept growing and growing. And then when we rebranded everything, we certainly tried to implement all the new branding across everything. And it took quite some time of rebranding things, because you don't realize how many things you got until you start rebranding. And that's from clothing to marketing material to your car to banners, so many things. So it took really quite a while, but it was great to see our little team all proudly wearing the new colors. So it's good, And we rebranded our car, the same kind of look, because people now know who we were when our car is riding around. But we just changed the image, we put the new logos on, and we just kept it similar, but it looked really, really great. But again, as ambitious as we are, we thought, what else could we do? And then we had that opportunity to go and show our bikes off out of New Zealand. So we booked ourselves a stand at the Melbourne e-bike show, and we put 2 bikes on the trolley, took it to the airport, and took them to Melbourne, and went to the trade show. And again, the feedback was fantastic, because just like New Zealand, Australia hasn't got a carbon bike like we have. So huge potential. We in talks with really good companies, and hopefully by the end of the year we should be seeing a lot more hybrids going to Australia as well. And as always, it's always good to look for some media attention. So again, we had interviews, and so it really feels good if you get people who like your story, who like that entrepreneurial spirit, that they see the hard work you put in. And yes, we always happy to share with anybody what we're doing. And so one day we thought, wouldn't that be nice if visitors which come to New Zealand, or even New Zealanders who go to a museum like the Motard Transport Museum, if they had a hybrid e-bike in it. And so we contacted them, we have a chat, and we made a presentation who we are and what we're doing. And the response was, yes, you would fit perfectly in with our museum, what we're doing, and you're welcome to display. We would invite you to display your bike with us. And that's what we did. And I must say, to have our bike showcased in the museum was certainly incredible. Again, it's just another milestone of building the brand and getting recognition for incredible things we did. So it's still there, and it's amazing. And what we did as well, we did the interview about our story. So for a viewer who goes along, you can look at the bike, you can push the button on the little iPad, and then it plays our interview that people see who made that bike, what's the story behind that brand. So I think it was really, really fantastic. But as always, we also committed to the local community. So we support the Nelson Tasman Hospice. We support like the Nelson Giants, for example. If we could, they needed somebody, and we filled that gap. But we said, yeah, we're very happy, to help you guys. And so really the attention grown. Even when we had the phone call from the sales queen, Suzanne Paul, she rang up and she said, hey, Frank, you want to sell your e-bike with us? And we had conversations. Unfortunately, the terms which we had to apply with didn't work. So we never made the deal with Suzanne, but she was great. She was an amazing person. And I think what you see on TV is really how she is. She was quite cool. But what is also important is for us is recognizing people who work really, really hard for you and with you. So this year we actually created awards for the people who contributed the most. And there were quite a few people, but certainly Jim. Jim is an outstanding guy who's really helped so much for the business. Or Vern, my father-in-law, incredible ambassador, rides everywhere. So we really selected our DX male rider. He's up to 46,000 kilometers on his hybrid bike now. So I don't know how many other e-bike brands really can say we got bikes which made it that far. There are probably some for sure, but we have one right here in Motueka, and it's still going, and God knows for how much longer, but it's still going strong. So this guy deserves an award. But bike shops, like mobile mechanics, they're always there when we need them, and we felt it's time to say thank you for those guys who actually back us, and it's important. And of course, we liked that first hybrid e-bike so much, and a lot of people said, hey Frank, if you do it again, we would love to be part of it again. So because of COVID, we couldn't do it every year, but this year was the year where we said, we do it again. We do it again because a lot of people who supported us wanted to do it again. But this time, we just make it bigger. And bigger we did. We had 150 e-bike riders on that ride. So I don't know, it must have been close to 1.5 kilometers of one bike next to the other. It was incredible. And it probably was one of the biggest e-bike events in Nelson Tasman, by having so many e-bikes in one place, and 95% were hybrids going for that ride. And I'm really pleased, and I'm thankful for everybody who actually came and joined us. And I think we're really doing it again. And what we did, like we did last time, we did a fundraiser for Nelson Tasman Hospice. So we really try to give back to the community, because the community has given us so much. And really staying close with your suppliers is also something which I thought it need to happen. So when when COVID when the Chinese opened the borders again, which was over 2 years closed, I think it was close to 3, we went over and we actually visited them again, and we caught up with what happened since we've been there last, and the growth, the innovation which they done, it's amazing. And we came back with some fantastic new ideas, and we can't wait to implement all those ideas over the next 12 to 18 months, because they really, really great. But of course, because we always keep pushing, we're always looking for where's another award we could go for. And when the Deloitte Fast 50 was open, we thought, wow, I don't know if we have a chance, because we're still quite a small business, but let's go for it. Let's say if we can achieve something incredible. And we did. We won the 47th fastest growing business in New Zealand. And considering we're still in the garage and we're up against some massive players, we thought it was an outstanding achievement for us to be recognized again with an award which meant a lot to us. But this didn't top the next event, the next awards we had, when we won a business award, a global business award, next to Elon Musk, which is like, wow, when Elon got the best visionary CEO and we got the most innovative e-bike business in New Zealand. So this was like, took the cake. This to be recognized next to one of the most amazing people on the planet, and then you see hybrid bikes a few pages underneath, but in the same category, certainly proved to us that all the hard work we done and we get recognized on a global stage is incredible. So I think that all the achievements we had really pushed us to go further and further and further and become more ambitious to penetrate into other parts of the world, And with our podcast sessions, which we did now, I think people can watch them and they can really see that all the things in between from where we started, all breaking down to the people we met, what a journey it was, because it was hard work and we relied a lot on people which supported us, which helped us with information we didn't have, So yeah, I'm pretty grateful for all the things which we achieved and for all the people which helped us. And I think you shouldn't be afraid to actually choose a different path, which we always did. We never wanted to do what others do. We always wanted to create our own thing, and we always thought it would be nice to actually do different. And by having our bikes now in Germany, in the UK, in Australia, like in Brisbane, in Perth, in Sydney, we got, even in Micronesia, we got hybrid e-bikes. So really we can say we started to put a footprint on the world with our brand. And like my daughter said to me, it's Frank's world and we just live in it. And I think she is kind of right, because I'm in my little bubble and I love being in it. And yeah, I think if you watch that, hopefully you got a little bit inspired of that hybrid story and what we done, because anybody can do what I did. It's not difficult, but you have to be ambitious. But creating something from a piece of paper to a multi-million-dollar business, it's absolutely amazing. And I think all the people who helped me to get to the stage, like Andrew Pullen, like Bill Liddell, like Jim Matthews, like Nick Mowbray. I never met the man, but I think looking up to him really inspired me in many ways. And there's so many more people I could list, but all of those who watched that, thank you very much, because you helped make hybrid bikes into a brand what it is now. And with all the new products which we have up our sleeve, I think it will be fantastic to really penetrate much deeper into the European market with our new innovations. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you so much for watching my podcast. I hope some of you out there are inspired and motivated by it. Remember, anybody can do what I have done. It just takes courage, determination, and a bit of luck, which we all have. Now, go out there, enjoy the ride of your lifetime.